Hey guys, what is up? I'm back with another video. Now, before I get into this, I just want to put a little disclaimer out there that I am a huge advocate for just keeping things simple, particularly when media buying or running paid ads. I think that so many people overcomplicate it purely just because they want it to sound cooler than it is. And I really don't want to do that. So I want to explain this as simple as I can and talk to you, why we actually are using this strategy over, just normal strategies that most people use in media. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you guys today to something called feedback loop market, right? We might change the name, we might not. Essentially, it is a new way of marketing or a new way of paid advertising where rather than just hoping for the best and relying on the ad platforms to, hit the 50 plus conversions by just testing a bunch of ads to hopefully find your ideal customer based on what they have, it's actually moving into a different realm where you actually use first-party data to train the algorithm, and then you tell them this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. So you get out of the learning phase way quicker, you build audiences faster, and you drop ad costs tremendously. Okay, so I've got a little presentation here. Well, it's more just like a one sheet, and I want to talk about this in a bit more detail. So first of all, if you're running ad campaigns, you'll understand this, right? If you're not, this may be a little bit, some verbiage and stuff you might understand, but just follow along and I can explain in the comments, whatever. But this is why running ads the usual way is so expensive, okay? And this is what 99.999% of advertisers do. I mean, this is what pretty much everybody does. It's this method because it's the only thing we've had access, okay? So how it works is, first of all, you got to test ads, right? That's the biggest thing, is if you don't know, Facebook, Google, whatever, I'll use Facebook for the point of reference. Obviously TikTok and stuff is a little bit different, but you need to generate at least 30 to 50 conversions to get out of the learning phase. Okay, so let's say for an example, you have an e-commerce brand and your target, average order value is like $98. So the standard rule of thumb, if you're looking to optimize for sales, would be the estimated CPA you're going for times that by 50, and that is per ad. It could be per ad set, but usually it's per ad to actually exit the learning phase, right? Even if that's per ad set, that's still a lot of money. So we're talking, if you have unproven audiences and new ads, right, in order to even find winning ads and get out of that learning phase, you're looking at about $6,000, okay? And that is with no guarantee that you're even gonna really get out of there, right? You could spend $6,000 trying to test all this stuff and none of it works because there's just so many variables, right? And that's really expensive. So that's why top of funnel campaigns require so much creative. That's why you're seeing more creative agencies than media buying agencies pop up nowadays, because it's just about supplying creative. We're on this idea where it's like, no, I got to keep feeding Facebook more creative, more ads, more creative, more ads, and then they'll come through and they'll find my customer eventually. See, it's pay to play. You got to spend a lot of money in order to optimize correctly, right? Now, what people do is usually, let's say it's a brand new campaign and it's top of funnel, which means, it's the first ad that people see. What they'll do is the sales will come from the, minimum funnel and the bottom of funnel, which means the retargeting campaign. So, you'll have a campaign, your audiences, you run ads, and then anybody that didn't buy, you'll build custom audiences, and that's where the sales come from, right? When you see these guys flexing massive ROAS, it's usually from the retargeting campaign. This is even, like iOS 14 has made this so much worse, but it was pretty bad to begin with. The average match rate across a lot of these platforms, I can't say the exact match rate, but I know it's going to be about below 12 to 25%, right? That's like the rule of thumb. So if we just apply basic math, that means that an audience needs 1,000 people in it matched up to work, to even run. So if you're running retargeting audiences and they're not running, it's probably because it's too low. And if you're like, but I get so much traffic, man, like I have so much traffic, like why are they not running? It's because only 15 and 25% of the people that land on the website are able to be retargeted, right? So building custom audiences is 6 times more expensive. So not only do you have expensive costs in testing, to find new ads just to get people to the website or to buy, but you've got expensive costs to build the retargeting audience. And this is why it's so hard to run ads these days. Because one, you got to find the right ad and you got to find the right audience, okay? So you have to obviously test a bunch of different ads to validate whether the audience is going to work. Usually it's about 4 creatives or 4 ads to see whether that audience is going to work for you. And then obviously you got to test the audience against, different ads to see like, well, yeah, I mean, that's it. It's testing audiences and it's testing ads. So, here's an example, right? Let's say, for an example, it's let's say it's a book or it's a Tony Robbins interest. You have to spend a lot of money to even really get into that interest. Like your ideal customer might actually just be sitting over here, and you have to spend all this money just to reach that pocket of audience, right? Because the interest is so big, okay? And another thing about that is interests, in terms of like when you're targeting interests on Facebook, they are just interests, right? They're based on people that have liked pages or people that are doing certain things, right? It's not people-based audience or not people-based data is what I'll go into. So for an example, I personally have, liked a bunch of pages that I'm no longer interested in. I have, I think Tony Robbins is great, but I don't really, not really into it. Like I wouldn't buy his stuff, but I still liked all his pages because I'm just supportive, right? And that's how a lot of people are. So it's a bunch of things. We need to have big audiences and we need to spend a lot of money to see if that audience is going to work. Second of all, in order to test those audiences, we need to test a lot of ads, right? So basically, the rule of thumb is we're looking to spend about 50 times the CPA, which is the cost per acquisition, just to get an ad to really be validated, right? And then doing that, we still need to spend 6 times more, than what we think to actually build audiences, okay? So this is why running ads is hard. And this is why every media buyer on the planet is just like, hey, it's creative, like punch out creative. And I'm not saying creative isn't important, but I'm saying there is an easier way to train algorithm to find your customer. Let's get into the solution, okay? This is what I call feedback loop marketing or feedback loop funnel, all right? Now, how it works is this. I'm gonna zoom out. And I'm going to actually, I don't want to just show you some diagrams. I want to go into the actual tech. But how it works is like this. Okay, so there's a few parts to this. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to use our own first-party data, right? People-based data. Now, people-based data is actual segments of data based on behaviors that are happening, not just a guess, right? So I'm going to show you an example here. So this is the taxonomy for Audience Lab that we're about to roll out inside of Ads Lab. And this is just some of the pre-made in-market audiences that we're building based on this people-based data. Let's say, for an example, I'm looking at, let me scroll down. Let's look at like B2B, and I'm looking at like advertising marketing, right? So this is advertising marketing. So this is people that actually have the occupation of advertising marketing. Like, it's not just a guess. It's not just somebody that, maybe has it in their bio or something like that. Like, this is people that actually have that job. And if I go down, I look at in-markets here, say brands, and I'm looking at Cartoon Network, or let's look at Calvin Klein. This is people that have actually been on Calvin Klein website, right? Or have purchased something from Calvin Klein. It's not just somebody that has liked an interest, which is Calvin Klein. Choosing an audience, a Calvin Klein audience based on people-based data versus on just doing it on any ad platform is night and day, because this is actual people-based data of people that have shown buying behaviors that they're interested in Calvin Klein, right? So that's the first bit we're going to do, is we're going to feed the algorithm with our own data, okay? We're not going to use typical interest and things like that. We're actually going to build out our own data. Now, then what we're going to do is we're going to use a custom pixel, okay? If you've heard me bang on about this pixel, essentially what we have developed is a pixel which allows you to match 30 to 60% of traffic to identity, okay? So let's look at this. I'll show you for an example. Today, this is one of our clients. We had, so I think there was like a couple, I don't know, but let's say like 1,300 people visited the site, I would say is decent enough. So we're looking at, this is the matched devices, right? Because I know a lot of these people come from the US. So we're looking at 1,100 matched devices, and that of those devices, we uncovered 772 identity, okay? So an identity is a full profile. That is a full profile of somebody that you could put into an ad and market to them and know you have a pretty high match rate, okay? So this is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our own data. We're going to run that through Facebook ads and all that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our own pixel to capture that data and validate, who's who, and then build very, very segmented audiences. First of all, this is people-based data. So we're feeding the algorithm with better data, right? It's not just a guess. They're not just saying, hey, yeah, let's go. They're not just kind of going into this big audience here and trying to find our customer in the abyss. We've got a better chance of hitting our customer, right? So that's one. Secondly, our advertising and our ads are going to bring people to a landing page. And then depending on what pages they're on, we're going to build custom audiences, and we're going to build them 30 to 60 times faster, right? Because we're getting more data. Like, as you can see here, let's assume they just had 1,000 visits, right? So let's say it's around like 1,300 visits. On the traffic that actually landed on that website, only about 15% of those people can be pixeled to be able to use in a custom audience. Whereas we can actually just take the whole 772 people, which is like 60% of all the traffic that's been on the website, and just upload it directly. Like, right in, right? That's crazy. What we're gonna do is we're gonna run ads using our own data. We're gonna capture it using our own pixel. We're gonna create a feedback loop, and that's gonna allow us to have hyper segmented audiences just like this, right? If you run Facebook ads, you know that if you want to do custom audiences these days, it's got to be pretty broad, right? Unless you have crazy amounts of traffic, it's got to be like 30 days. You can't segment based on behaviors, like a ton of stuff. We can segment on all kinds of things because one, we're getting enough data, and two, we actually have the whole profile resolved. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to go to the webbook here. Let's say pull up Facebook. Okay, so let's say for an example, I want to just segment people via like credit score, income, or affinities. Right, what I can do is I can click on here, and this is people that have been on my website, and I can say, oh, I only want to basically target people that I know have a income of XYZ. So I'm going to go, I'm just going to type in credit, it's easier, and I'm just going to type in, right? So boom, okay. What I can do is I can basically say needs to be at least 700, right? So I can segment by all these different categories here to build my audience, right? And this is like a filter that I can use to tell Facebook, no, that was right, or no, yes, no, that was wrong, or yes, that was right. And I can use these segments here. So why it gets so powerful is because I'm going to then build lookalikes from these segments. Okay, so these segments are like hyper potent, spot on. Like if you're looking at like a target, this is like straight up in the middle. Okay, so I'm doing that, and then I'm feeding it to Facebook to build lookalikes. Okay, and usually when you build lookalikes off a custom audience isn't matching correctly, the lookalike sucks, and then you're putting that back at the top of the funnel to find new audiences, and you're just feeding worse and worse data into the funnel. So it's literally a numbers game. Whereas this strategy, what you're doing is you're taking the lookalikes and you're layering them on top of the in-markets. And what's going to happen is it's this filter system that just allows you to drop ad costs. Now, how it works is not that complex. This looks a little bit complex, but it's actually way more simple than how you'd run ads traditionally. Usually you would just need a whole bunch of creatives, testing headlines, all this stuff. You need to have a whole bunch of interest, and you got to spend a ton of money on each interest because you can't be certain whether it was the interest or the ad that didn't work. So you got to test at least 4 ads at a time on each interest, and it just gets really tiring. You get a few select targets, as in like in markets, that are going to work because these people, it's a people-based audience, right? It's not somebody that's just kind of maybe likes something. That person is as close as you can get to your customer as humanly possible. You run ads to there, and then as soon as they land on your pixel, you're like, aha, I know this person, right? And then you can build segments off this 30 to 60 times faster than you would building normal audiences. Build lookalikes on there, layer it across to add an extra filter, and you're just slowly building this feedback loop, which is building better audiences, better data, and it's really creating an ad account that produces results. All right. Now, this maybe sounds really good in theory, and you're like, I've heard a bunch of stuff that sounds good in theory but doesn't work. This works. Advertisers using this have complete control to control the ad platforms and teach them who their ideal customer. And it makes total sense, right? If you want to teach, if Facebook is like a sniffer dog that's trying to find your customer, you want to be able to, provide as many items of clothing or scents to Facebook in order to find that person, right? So this is why it's so powerful. So this is how I did a case study before. This is how I was talking about guys like Pete were able to reduce their CPA by 40% because they just put their pixel on a page, they ran ads to it. I didn't even think they needed to use in-market segments for this. They did, they would have made it more powerful and gotten data faster, but they just used a broad audience, but still captured by the pixel. They took the data from there, uploaded it to Facebook, as in lookalikes, and then absolutely crushed their CPA, right? Same again, reduce CPA from $25 to $2.80, right? And this is interesting because this is like, I think there's a lot of case studies that people say that, hey, this is the data that did this, or this is the strategy that did this. There's so many variables, there's like, was it the ad? Was it the copy? Was it the targeting? Was it the, just a good day? This guy actually he's been in this industry for 3 years, and his opt-in costs always 10 to 25 bucks, right? On no matter what audience he tried. He did this strategy and he dropped it down to about $2.80 per pop, okay? And it scaled. It wasn't this little $5 ad set that, you scale it and then it just dies and it's a fluke, right? Increasing results without extra ad spend because you're feeding more data into your ad account and you're building a feedback loop. Okay, this guy was able to get 24 extra appointments out just using the pixel, and he was doing a retargeting campaign here as well. So that's just it, guys. That's what I want to start teaching you. No one's talking about this because I don't believe that there is this. I think data science and media buying and copywriting, I don't believe it's been put together in some cohesive strategy yet. I think that media buyers are really just focused on, okay, well, we just need better creative. And then the copywriters are like, well, no, we just need better audiences, right? And this is how to put it all together so that it's one cohesive strategy. And this is feedback loop marketing. So I'm super excited to share this. We're going to be running a workshop next week teaching this. It's 9th of September, so it's going to be next week if you're watching this now. And I'm super excited to teach you guys how to build your own feedback loops. I've seen this work across a number of different accounts. I'm just going to keep testing it. And the more people that use it, the more validate it. And the way our pixel works is the more data we get, the more, we become enhanced in our match rate, and it just gets better. So hope to really get you guys into this. This is a new way of media buying, right? As a media buyer or an ad buyer, you're not just someone that creates ads and pushes buttons. Now you have control over the data. Now you have control over actually training the algorithm, almost like a lion trainer or something, right? Artificial intelligence is your friend. These ad platforms are your friend. You just need to know how to train them using the right data. So that's the video. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, talk to you soon.